Welcome back! I am Annemey from Emptying Gulliver's Buckets, and this is a channel where we talk about books, crafts, adventures and such. So if that sounds like something you like, please like and subscribe. Today's video is about the time that Waterstones chose violence and had a 50% hardback sale for 3 days on Boxing Day. So stay tuned and I'll show you the books that I got. A little bit of background about what happened was on the 26th of December, which, yes, I know, was a million years ago. The previous video didn't work out, so we're retrying. Second time's the charm, you know. But on the 26th of December, Waterstones announced that they were having a 3-day 50% hardback sale as a Boxing Day promotion thing, I'm not sure. And because of this, and the short amount of time that it happened, and like the hardback shelves in Waterstones were pretty desolate. They were empty and it looked like they had been ravaged. But I did manage to find the books that I actually wanted to get, so I'm pretty chuffed with everything that I found. As you can see beside me, I have 6 books, or a little pile of books, and these are the books I will be discussing with you today. Just telling you why I picked them, what they're about, and then hopefully you find a new book to love or find a few book recommendations to walk away with. So without further ado, let's get started. So firstly, I got 4 novels, as in your more classical fiction novels, and then I got 2 books that are illustrated novels / illustrated stories. One is like an illustrated art story thing. I'll get to that. And so we're starting off with the fiction books. So the first one I got was Daisy Chains, and this is, I wanted to get the hardcover because I really love the fact that it's printed on the hardcover book. And this is by Maggie Ritchie, and it is a novel about the Glasgow girls. And recently when I went to the Hunterian Museum, which is a very popular thing here in Glasgow, I discovered the Glasgow Boys, which were a group of artists, about 20 of them, that just painted and were very well known in the early 1900s, late 1800s. And when I heard about the Glasgow girls, I just had to find out more. So this pretty much follows 2 friends, childhood friends, which is Jeannie and Lily. The one wants to become an artist, the one wants to become a dancer. And this is pre-Great War, so pre-First World War. And then the war strikes, and the one becomes a nurse, and the other one does something else. And after the war, they decide to pursue their dreams and become the respective dancer and artist that they want to. But things don't always go as planned. So Lily does become an artist, but she gets married and then moves to Shanghai with her husband in the 1920s, while Jeannie runs away with a dance troupe, becomes famous and finds world renown. When Lily is in Shanghai, tragedy strikes, and she needs her childhood friend, to come rescue her. And apparently it just seems like a really nice story about friendship and the more non-traditional passions and routes that the lives of these women took in the era that it was written in, and the fact that it was inspired by eventful and colourful lives that were the real woman artists, the Glasgow girls. So the fact that it's inspired by true events and just sounds like a really sweet story drew me in, and I wanted the hardcover because of the fact that it is printed on the actual cover and just so pretty. So that's the first one. Next we have Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson, and I love all her stuff. This is the 3rd novel she's written, and I've read both previous novels, which was An Enchantment of Ravens and A Sorcery of Thorns, and adored them. So she has this ability to write a standalone novel that is so rich in world building and characters that it feels complete. It doesn't feel like this fantasy story needs to be like stretched out or colored in any further. And the fact that I could get it hardcover just made my little heart happy. It gave me childlike joy. It sparked joy. And this follows Artemisia, who is a young woman training to become a Grey Sister. They are the nuns that clean the bodies of the recently deceased so that the spirits can leave to the next place, wherever that may be, and not linger. And she finds an artifact, a relic, that when she touches it or does something to it, a little demon escapes that has been like attached to it for a while and threatens a little devil, or is it a demon? I think, yes, a malevolent being, a little ancient spirit. An ancient spirit comes out of this relic that had been like residing in it and threatens to kill everyone she loves and just hang around forever. So now she goes on a quest to find a Vespertine, which is an ancient group of women that are skilled or practiced in the returning of spirits to the relics that they came from. The only problem is that they have all died out. So now Artemisia needs to go and help sleeping spirits lie and just save the day and learn more about spirits than what she had learned. So this is a bit more of a fantastical look at bias and this character learning about the world that she was raised in and questioning everything that she was taught and seeing what the world really is. And I just love Margaret Rogerson. So I really recommend all her books for any new adult, young adult fantasy lovers out there. And the covers are always beautiful because they're done by Charlie Bowater. She has done all of the covers, so even the covers are like collector's pieces on their own. After that, we have A Love and Fury by Samantha Silver. And this is the story of Mary Wollstonecraft. Yes, Mary Wollstonecraft, who was the mother of Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein. And firstly, I just love the cover. Like, I don't know why I find it so prescient, but I just do enjoy it. But she was a renowned feminist in in the 1700s, like late 18th century, and she died at the birth of Mary Shelley. So Mary Shelley grew up with her father, but that's besides the point. And this is just the story of this woman that was thinking ahead of time and the lasting impact that she had on the world. And I quite honestly need to admit that I also got this book because one of the required readings for my course this semester is Frankenstein, and when I saw that this is about the mother of Mary Shelley, I just decided I had to read it, maybe see a little bit of alternative history, and it's also just fun to read about people that history kind of forgot just because they were overshadowed by other people. But here it says, Love and Fury reclaims the all too brief moment when the stories of mother and daughter overlapped. It is a lyrical and moving tribute to an influential thinker and a remarkable woman. So I'd love to read more about a woman that you don't hear a lot about or know a lot about in general, just because she is slightly lost to history. But that's fine for now. Lastly, on our list of little fiction novels that I got The Winter Garden by Alexandra Bell, and also another beautiful cover, but this one it's just a bit more of a subtly beautiful, if that makes sense, with stars and a very winter looking cover, which is, I know, kind of. This follows the story of Beatrice, who when she was 8 years old discovered the Winter Garden, and she escaped to this garden, this place of magic and mystery, for 7 nights in a row, and then it disappeared. 16 years later, or yes, I think it's 18 years later, she gets on the eve of her wedding to a man she does not love, but her father chose for her. She gets a mysterious letter, and her best friend also gets this letter. that just simply states, I am looking for the most magical, spectacular, remarkable pleasure garden this world has to offer. A garden that brings wonder and amazement to people's lives. The winner will be picked at the end of next year upon New Year's Eve. They will be required to give up the most wondrous parts of their garden. In return, the prize will be one wish from the last of the Winter Garden's magic. And Beatrice, who knows what the Winter Garden was and had explored it for 7 days and found comfort in it, is desperate for this wish. So now she and her best friend need to compete, and she is trying to navigate life while creating this pleasure garden and figuring out what she really wants and what her one wish truly is. So it always says, what would you sacrifice for one life-changing wish? And I just think it sounds like a very fun, fantastical read taking place in Edwardian England with magic and a little bit of realism and your typical like propriety of the time. So I'm just looking forward to reading it and seeing what happens in it and just exploring the magic of the Winter Garden. And yeah, also anything to do with like gardening it just appeals to me instantly, because as soon as plants are involved, I'm just kind of like, oh, it's magical. Quite frankly. Then moving on to the two books that I pretty much got because I just thought they were beautiful and they are illustrated. So the first one that I got was this. It is Julia and the Shark by Kieran Millwood Hargrave, and this one was pretty much an instant buy without actually knowing what it's about. I pretty much just know that Julia almost lost her mum one summer, and then she found a shark that was older than trees. But this one I picked up because I've read all Kieran Millwood Hargrave's books. So I've read all of her books so far and loved all of them. They're mostly like middle grade children's books that are still appealing to adults because they always have this undercurrent of knowledge and meaning that you'd only grasp if you're a bit old and you've seen a few more things, or you've gone through life a little bit, or you've matured enough to like pick them out and notice them, which I really adore in children's novels, when the children would enjoy it just because it's magical and beautiful and well written, and then adults would also enjoy it for all those reasons, and then that subtle undercurrent. And all her work has that. I just haven't read her actual adult novel yet, which is The Mercies, but I'm pretty much working hard at it. So this one is also a bit more illustrated than her previous ones. This was illustrated by Tom de Freston, and it is absolutely stunning. So this theme that you see on the cover, this whole inky drawings with the yellow, is carried out throughout the entire book with a few tracing paper insets. So it would be like this, where it's like this inky drawing, and then have an inset of like tracing paper with yellow that you just flip over, and suddenly it's like an artwork completely different. And this color combination of the gray with the bright yellow is just so stunning and just brings a smile to my face every time I see it. And the entire book is filled with illustrations, so it's very illustrated, which just means it's a beautiful kind of collector's piece as well as being well written, just because that's what I have come to expect from Kieran due to previous experiences or previous encounters with her writing. And now it's just also like beautifully illustrated with the yellow and the grey, and then those like little flappies. And yes, I can't wait to read it, just because I think the illustrations themselves, along with like the beautiful writing, would be an experience. So yeah, I'd recommend this. And because it's a collector's piece, hardcover, is always a necessity, is Jackie Morris's version of East of the Sun, West of the Moon, which is a classic Nordic fairy tale about a girl who is abducted, yeah, that's probably the right word, abducted by a polar bear and taken to live in his castle for a year. Every night a companion will join her in the bed. Nothing happens, but it's just a companion will join her in the bed, and the rule is she is never to look at his face. But obviously curiosity gets the best of her, and suddenly this man that laid all his hopes and dreams on her breaking the curse, the polar bear ghost, is cursed to be a polar bear for life. Meanwhile, she fell in love with the polar bear, and now she is going on a journey east of the sun, west of the moon, using the north wind, the west wind, and the south wind to just break the curse that the ogre or the ogre queen or the elfin queen, I don't know, the elfin queen, goblin queen placed on him. And personally, I love fairy tale retellings in general, and so of course I'd get any retelling that I can get my hands on. But then this is also by one of my favorite authors / illustrators, which is Jackie Morris. I have 2 of her other books that she collaborated upon with someone else, and they're all done in this very watercolor, realistic but mystical style. And the other 2 books is the Lost Spells and the Lost Words books, which are beautiful. Or maybe that could be another video of me just talking about all the beautiful books I own and like showing the artwork. But yeah, so this is that story. But throughout the entire book, there are these tiny little illustrations, or maybe not so tiny depending on them, of in her style, in her, that I adore so much. Let's find a big one that's just beautiful. So then this book would be done, and then you'd have like these big illustrations and then teeny tiny ones on other pages, and it's got the the ribbon bookmark. So it's just a really stunning book that I had to buy, since Waterstones chose violence and wants to make everything half price. But this will be joining my Jackie Morris collection, which I'm very excited about. And it's also quite an interesting shape because it's very square. But this Meg Russell says Jackie Morris does more than tell a story, she conjures glorious landscapes of the heart. And that is very accurate and very true. So those are the 6 books that I got at Waterstones, and it was quite fun going through all the shelves and just finding books that I really wanted or had my eye on for quite some time. And it was just a nice day out exploring the different Waterstones branches, trying to find the books that I wanted in hardcover, because in all honesty I am more of a paperback person because I love being able to bend the spine and like read, and with hardcovers I feel guilty for that and I can't bend them backwards. But other than that, it was a wonderful haul. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Stay tuned for the next one, which will hopefully be a lot sooner and come about a lot quicker than this one did, because this took forever. And then I'll see you there. Thank you. Bye bye.